Uh, I forgot who was doing the intro, so I guess I'll do it this time.
It was
Hello,
you
everyone.
anyway.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to Geek Addicts. It's early in the morning for us. We're having a day already. How
Yeah,
you
yeah.
doing? How you doing, Matt?
I'm sleepy. I only got like 4 hours of sleep last night.
I hear you. I was playing Jackbox last night with a bunch of other podcasters, and things got wacky. I didn't go to sleep till like 12 at night.
Yeah, it's about the same for me, but then Frances decided she wanted to start her day at like 4. I was like,
Ah,
shit. One of those days for me.
yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. I went game hunting yesterday, so that was fun.
Oh yeah,
And
get any good ones?
nothing massively like stand out. I kind of, unfortunately, I'm at that point collecting now where I have a lot of stuff and like rare things are hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I bought Independence Day on the Sega Saturn, so that's a thing.
That's a game.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's based on the movie.
Yeah,
Oh jeez.
I mean, some people like it. It's not really that it's bad. It's just really boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of one of those things. A lot of those kinds of games tend to be like that.
Yeah,
I pre-ordered this past week. I pre-ordered the Sandland game,
nice.
so I'm excited for that. That doesn't come out until what, like late April?
Yeah, something like that.
I want to say it's like the
Um,
25th or something.
I also found a couple of the old like PS1 jam packs that had like all those demos built into them.
Hmm.
So those are always fun to look through, just like out of curiosity.
That was how I played Medieval for the first time, and like really sparked my interest in video games.
Hmm. Yeah, you find those things every now and then.
Um, so I wanted to ask you. So you have all the black and white Pokemon Adventures manga, correct?
Yes.
Is the first volume like significantly shorter than the other one?
Oh yeah, a
Okay.
lot.
Because I've been looking around and like whenever like on eBay and Amazon and stuff. Because before I started ordering them, I wanted to make sure because I was noticing that like from 2 onward they were all like standard length, and then the first one was like half that.
Yeah, volume one's like weirdly small.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make sure before I started ordering them because I think I can get decent prices on them all, but I didn't want to screw up and get the wrong one.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the right one. Um, the black and whites aren't too hard to find. Black and white two is a bit more challenging for whatever reason.
I've seen them on eBay, but there's only like what 4 or 5 of those, something
There's
like
only
that.
there's only four of them. Volume one was out of print for a while. I think they recently reprinted it, but I know when I bought it, I had to like wait a while because like it was going for like $100 at one point.
Hmm. It's so odd, like how like print runs of manga works, where like specific volumes of a series will just randomly be unavailable, or things like that. Like I was recently looking into because I only have the first 4 of the Kenshin Vizbigs, and
Mhm.
I was planning on getting the rest, but that last one, just for some reason, is way more hard to find at a decent price than all the other. Like you can get all the other ones for a reasonable price for what the Vizbigs generally cost. Um, but like that last one, like you can't get it cheaper than $200.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, unfortunately, Kenshin, I have a feeling it isn't going to get reprinted anytime soon for
Probably not.
obvious reasons. But yeah, I had the same problem with Dragon Ball Z. Volume six Fizbig was like weirdly hard to find.
Mhm. So yeah, when I once I get to that point, I might have to just bite the bullet and deal with the mismatch and just get regular volumes, or like the cheaper 3-in-1s
The
for
three and the three ones are incredibly easy to find for Kenshin right now.
yeah. So I might have to just bite the bullet until I can find Vizbig Volume 9 at a decent price.
Yeah. Speaking of manga, the final volume of Kaguya-sama comes out next Tuesday. I found it already because Barnes and Noble don't give a fuck. But
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you already posted that you had it already.
yeah, I went into Barnes and Noble because I figured I knew it was coming out, and I was like, I need to see if it's there. And then I saw it. I'm like, fuck it, mine. I sniped it from some girl that was looking for it too. Like I grabbed it, and then I was kind of looking through other things, and this girl walks into the aisle where like the manga are, and then she just does this thing that like teenagers do now that I don't understand, where they just sit on the floor in the store, and then she like is fingering through all the Kaguya-sama manga, and she's like looking exactly where the 28 I just pulled out was, and she has this look of like anger on her face, just goes, "Damn it," and then just walks off, and I'm just like, I think I just sniped her, but I don't
so
care.
so there's 28 volumes of that series.
Yep,
Okay,
Kaguya-sama 28 volumes just ended. Well, it ended like a year ago in Japan, but it's officially done in America now too.
I gotcha. Yeah, because that's what I've been considering looking into, but I mean I still have a few unfinished series that I need to get the rest for. I need to get the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh! I need to get more of the Pokemons, Kenshin, as I mentioned before. Super behind on Boruto. I need to get more of those.
I hear you.
But yeah,
So me and Alex finally watched Quiet on Set.
oh, did you?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
it's a pretty upsetting.
the Dan Snyder stuff I knew about, and I wasn't really upset. And then I found out fucking Pickle Boy was a massive pedophile, and I was like, God damn it, what
Yep.
the fuck?
I guess yeah, from the way it ended off, I thought that it was just those 4 episodes, but apparently they're dropping another episode next month.
Yeah, so me and Alex did a whole episode of GNC going over this. Because Alex, it affected Alex a lot harder than it affected me. So
I can imagine.
that episode will be pretty dark. I'm a little worried about how it's going to be received, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, everybody's going nuts about that documentary right now. Everyone's watching it. I'm seeing articles about it all over the place about all these old Nickelodeon stars speaking up about it, and
Yeah,
the real wild part to me was seeing all the big name like actors and producers and shit who like were defending that guy.
yeah. There's a few in there that I really liked, and I was
Yeah.
kind of like, I didn't know how to feel about it after.
Stop flipping me off.
Oh yeah, right.
To,
No,
to the audio only listeners, there's a middle finger on the bottom of his coffee cup. Every time he took a sip, he flipped me off.
I did a collab with this once, and I completely didn't even think about it. And I was like, wow, I was like flipping them off the whole time.
That's fine. I used to have a flask that just said "fuck you" on the bottom of it, so whenever you took a sip, it was the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Other than that, though, not a whole lot going on. This was a weird week. Oh, should make an announcement. I've announced it on every show but this one. You guys might have noticed Geek Addicts is now in its own feed. So
Yes.
we're no longer attached to the GNC feed. We've officially branched this one out to its own show. So all episodes, episode 20 onward, are now exclusively in the Geek Addicts feed, which you can still find in the link tree and the description and everything.
Yes, which is nice because it's not gonna lie, like whenever because not many of my friends and family have actually inquired about it, but the few who have, whenever I try to explain to them how to find the episodes, I end up just being like, just go to YouTube. It's easier.
Yeah. Now it's much easier.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to rebuild a bit of our following because we've lost. We were leeching off of the GNC followers for a bit there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, at this point, anyone who's interested enough to have listened to the 19 episodes before it got switched over, I have to imagine that if they liked it enough to listen to all 19 episodes, then they're probably going to continue.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. It's going to be a little bit, but at least now it's a bit easier to find, and going forward, we won't have any more confusion.
Yeah, for sure.
And it won't have to fight with GNC for listens because it is GNC's feed after all.
Yeah. It was kind of nice though for the GNC feed getting 2 episodes a week though.
Yeah, it was
for a little bit. I realized this is what, episode 21, 22?
21, I believe.
I just realized in just
22 maybe.
Just a few weeks, we'll be able to be going for half a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it at all. I still feel like a noob.
Yeah, well, I mean, GNC's on its 4th year, so I don't know how that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's flown by.
But yeah, so anyways, guys, for this episode, we had said last week that it's been a while since we did a live action anime adaptation, and we decided we were gonna talk about the Full Metal Alchemist live action movie.
Yep.
It's a
Which
movie.
it certainly is.
Um, you know what the best way to describe this movie is to me?
Um, oh, I had a word. I had a word. I can't think of it now.
To me, this movie is like the perfect definition of the term mid.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
Well, for me, it was very, very, uh, I don't know, it was just very basic. I don't know. I'm having trouble finding the word. It's
see, to me, it's like they tried very hard to be accurate to the source material
which is respectable.
until they didn't, because there's like random points where they just change things for no reason.
Yeah, and some of the CG was a little wonky.
Yeah, those homunculi creatures at the end were they look straight out of a bad like 90s film. So
Yeah. Honestly, the thing that bothered me the most was, at least as far as like the special effects and stuff, was probably gluttony.
yeah, that was bad. That was
Yeah,
really bad.
yeah. I I wasn't a fan. Um,
Um I do. So did you watch dub or subbed?
I watched it dubbed.
So interesting enough, I wasn't expecting this while going into it, but they got Vic Mignogna, Caitlin Glass, and Aaron Discmu back for this.
Yeah, well, actually, I was really surprised about Aaron Disnew
Yeah,
because
that was really weird. Like, because he famously lost the role of Alphonse because his voice dropped and he couldn't really do the voice anymore. So this one he's using his adult voice, and honestly, I kind of liked it because I always thought Alphonse with like the super high pitched voice was a little weird.
agreed, and especially in Brotherhood where like he's like at the by the end he's like 18, 19, and he still has that like little kid voice.
Yeah,
Um, but I will say, while I found that one very fitting, Vic Mignogna's voice coming out of that Asian actor, I don't know his name. His voice did not fit that guy's face at all.
also, he sounded like he was recording in like a bathtub. Like his audio sounded like shit the entire movie.
Yeah, I don't know. His voice just like it works fine for animation, like with animated Ed, perfect. But with this live action actor, like, and usually that's something I can respect is when a live action adaptation will pull the dub actors from the original anime for the live action because the Japanese Death Note movies did the same thing.
Mm.
But and in that case, it worked. In this case, I just did not like the voice didn't match the face, and it just didn't work for me.
It also kind of sounded like Vic phoned it in, honestly, because he really did not sound like he gave a shit.
Well, it could have been partially that, and it could have just been like hard to because I don't know. For me, it's easier to kind of match a tone with something animated than it is with something like real life without just straight up copying the person.
Yeah, I think also too like the unlike the Kenshin films, they did not try at all to line up like the lip sync at all.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Kenshin films definitely were treated much more seriously than this one.
Like even like Caitlin Glass, her performance was identical to the anime, but like that voice coming out of the actress they had for this film, like she sounded too old to me.
Yeah, and you know what else I noticed? And this is something I've noticed with a lot of like Japanese live action movies is that they went out of their way to. I mean, I assume they were wigs for like Ed and Al,
Yeah, and
but they didn't
especially
bother to do it for Winry.
yeah, especially considering Riza later, it looks almost fucking identical. And then like Winry looks nothing like Winry,
Yeah, it was just bizarre.
which nothing against the actor, she did a fine job, but it's just like she looked nothing like a Winry the entire thing.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, they definitely made some changes to the story. They switched some stuff around, put some stuff in different places, which is fine. You expect that from a movie adaptation. Um,
Actually, thinking about it now, all the actors were pretty spot on, except for Winry. Winry's the only one that didn't really look anything like her anime counterpart.
Yeah, which is bizarre. Actually, she kind of reminded me. She kind of reminded me of the actress who played Misa in the live action Death Note, the Japanese ones.
You know what it was? It's because she was a brunette and not a blonde.
Yeah, which they did the exact same thing in that movie too.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the I don't know. I mean, the way that they put like set up the story was fine. It wasn't like horrible, but it just underwhelming. That was the word I was looking for. The whole thing was very underwhelming, and it just didn't flow the way it should have.
See, I thought it started out really good, like that opening scene with like Ed and Al's mother dying, and then like them starting the human transmutation until they actually do the transmutation. Then Al takes a ride on his magic carpet for a minute.
Yeah, right. I
Like
did.
we don't
Oh,
even see his body get stolen. He just disappears.
yeah, we just cut scene right there. I will say I did like the effect they used for Truth.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Other than
Like where he was kind of like,
his voice was so bad.
yeah, that was not great, but I liked the visual effects for it, where he kind of had like that cloudy emptiness kind of look, which is
Yeah,
exactly what you kind of hope to see for a character like that. um,
yeah. Honestly, that segment was really cool. Like that looked exactly like the Gate of Truth.
mhm, yeah. So the characters, for the most part, tended to stick pretty like personality wise, tended to stick pretty close to what they were supposed to be. Um, I think part of what made it as underwhelming as it did is they didn't include a lot of like the bombastic characters like Major Armstrong.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I don't think anyone could have done him justice in live action.
I don't know for sure, but I think he's in the later movies.
Possibly, because I know Scar is in the later movies. He's not in this movie at all.
I'm pretty sure he's in the next one. Um,
None of the like Ling Yao didn't appear. Um,
which I mean makes sense to with the amount of story that they covered. Like he
true.
he wouldn't have shown up at this point.
They also kill off Lust a lot earlier than they did in the anime. If she's actually dead, I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure she is. They made it seem like it. I feel like they tried to recreate that original scene.
Well, they also
Um,
killed off Dr. Marco a lot earlier.
well, he didn't even die in the anime. Well, not in
Yeah,
in Brotherhood at least. He dies in the original anime.
yeah. Like he gets horribly disfigured in Brotherhood.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, they kill him off in his debut scene in this movie.
yeah, which I think is actually pretty similar to how it happened in the first series.
Which leads me to believe the makers of this film were following multiple sources and not really putting a proper adaptation.
Yeah, it seemed to me like they were trying to kind of combine elements that they liked from both shows,
Hmm.
and which I mean is fine. Like having like Shao Tucker reappear after the whole Nina thing, like that was, that was straight out of the first one. It wasn't that weird monstrosity, at least not yet, unless Scott kills him in the next movie. But um, which makes me wonder: is Nina still alive?
Yeah,
I don't even I don't even think they ever touched on that.
yeah, they kind of just she disappeared off screen.
Yeah. Um,
Also, this movie gave like no build up to Nina at all. Like she appears like once, and it's like okay, there's a kid, and then next scene, it's like oh, she's a dog now.
mhm,
Like
yeah.
none of the the iconic character development that makes you actually care in the anime.
Mhm, yeah.
It's like she appears once, and then Ed and Winry go off on their little adventure, and like Al lays on a table for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's like he like Shao Tucker uses like hypnotism or whatever to make him remember the whole truth debacle.
Yeah.
Which I mean is I guess is a way to get around it, just to have it out of the way, because otherwise they'd have to just completely recreate the whole greed thing, and that would just probably take too long.
Also, I just realized the I'm forgetting his name. the leader of the military.
Uh, Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley isn't in this at all.
No. They had like a weird like stand-in for him. It was like
Yeah,
I think it was like his secretary or something.
and then he
Um,
dies in the most pathetic death ever.
oh yeah, he gets eaten by the weird white zombie things.
Yeah,
Yeah, those. It was weird how they. I mean, I get why they wanted to do that early because they wanted to have like a big showdown at the end of this first movie, which makes sense. And like, yeah, like the Mustang and Lust thing is cool and all, but like that's not big enough, not grandiose enough to end a movie with.
they
So it
also
makes sense that
killed
they wanted. Huh?
they also killed Envy off really quick.
Oh, you didn't see the post credit scene.
Oh, I must have skipped it.
No, there's a post credit scene where the little worm Envy pops out of
Oh, okay,
the burnt up corpse. So she will be in the next movie.
okay. I was wondering because I was kind of like, wow, they really just killed them off like that, huh?
Yeah. Um. So yeah, it's just I don't know. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's like they tried to pack a lot into it, but also rearrange things to make it I don't know work better as like a standalone movie. But I don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
I did like the effect of the suit of armor. I thought Alphonse's like armor looked pretty good.
Yeah, for the most part, that was definitely one of the smoother parts. That's probably where a lot of their budget went, honestly.
Yeah, I will say the fight scene between him and Ed was very goofy this time around.
Yeah, yeah.
It just looked like Ed's actor was pushing around a suit of armor, and I was like, "This is goofy."
hmm Yeah. Um, and they completely cut out all the fifth laboratory stuff, which was kind of a bummer because I like Barry the Chopper.
Yeah,
They kind of just kind of gave his thing to Shao Tucker, which I mean, fine. I mean, if you're gonna make him a villain, you might as well go all the way. So I get it, but I don't know.
even then though, in this movie, he was just such like a I don't care kind of villain. Like
Mhm,
in the anime, that one episode makes you utterly despise him. In this one, it's kind of like, oh, he's back, and
mhm.
now he's dead.
Which is
And
kind of how you feel about him in the original anime too.
yeah, Brotherhood really did a great job of making you just despise that guy. This one,
Mhm.
it's kind of just like, oh, it's like, well, I didn't care about Nina in this one, so I'm not even that mad. And then it's like, oh, he's just back now.
Yeah,
Cool.
pretty much. I don't know. It's like I told you before we started. I watched this movie early in the week, so it's a little bit not quite as clear in my mind. You said you just watched it, so it's probably very fresh for you.
It is, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm trying to think of it. I'm like, there's like nothing to talk about in this movie because it's like it's so mid. Like it's the most like anime adaptation I think I've ever seen.
It really is. Honestly, like I enjoyed watching the Death Note one more than this one, which is
Well, the Death Note one is just so fucking ridiculous. Like
yeah, it's cheesy as hell.
this one's like you can tell that they tried, but at the same time they tried just enough to pass, but not enough to actually be good.
Yeah, it's definitely passable, but it's not good. That's you definitely hit the nail on the head there.
Because it's like there's moments where like this looks amazing, and then you cut to the next scene, it's like this looks terrible.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
and how they kind of like it's weird how they included Maria Ross as part of it, but didn't like do the whole
properly introduce her, like
yeah,
she just shows up, and it's like, oh, it's not actually her. She's on fire. Oh, her mole's on the wrong side. You'd only know that if you watch the original, because we're not going to tell you here.
yeah, and you don't really like moles are like at least moles of that size aren't as noticeable in real life. Like you notice that kind of thing in an anime face because anime faces are so basic. But like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they went out of their way to introduce her and make her a part of it, but they didn't do the whole like thing that they were supposed to do with her, where she was the one who gets framed. Instead, Mustang gets framed for killing Hughes, even though they're like best friends.
Yeah, that was weird to me. I was just like, I was like, this doesn't work. Like they're cutting so many. Well, at first I was like, oh, they're gonna make Roy be the villain here, and then she appears anyways. I'm like, what are they trying to do here? Like I was so confused.
Yeah, because they do the whole like, oh, there was a witness who saw you there, and this and that, and then we get another flashback on the phone booth scene, and he still turns into his wife, or and he
Yeah,
still turns into Hughes's wife, and it's like, okay, so now I'm just confused.
I will say Hughes was probably one of like the few characters that the movie pretty much nailed down right, but he also is like the definition of a small role, big impact.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Because like he's pretty much spot on his entire every appearance he has in this movie, but he also is only in like maybe like 10 minutes of the film.
Mm-hmm. It is weird how his daughter wasn't born yet.
Yeah, that was a change. I mean, it's I guess for the movie it's fine. Really,
Well,
there's
it's
not.
it's another element that I feel like they pulled from the first show because you know how in Brotherhood they had the whole scene where they go to Rush Valley and Ed and Al and Winry all kind of like contribute to help that woman give birth to her baby and all that other stuff. In
Yeah.
they kind of do the same thing in the original anime, but it's Hughes's wife and Gracia
Hmm.
that that they're doing it for, and not the Rush Valley chick.
Hmm.
So yeah, it definitely feels like they were pulling from both series, which I mean, I'll give them props for that at least because each series has its own fan base.
But the problem is they're like only grabbing the basic things, and like it's really I think in the end it doesn't appeal to anybody.
Yeah, for sure. It just didn't have the emotional impact of the original series, and that's a big thing. And this is one of those like kind of exception prove the rule things where I'll generally say like if they nail the characters they could do whatever they want with the story and it'll work, and in a way it does work, but the way that they arranged it just wasn't interesting.
Yeah, like honestly, the I think the big problem is like this movie is just really unappealing to watch
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of like if you've already seen the anime or read the manga, like you know what happens, and then you watch it in this, and it just feels so half-assed.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. And I wonder, I'm sure we'll end up getting to it eventually, but I'm wondering how the later movies do, like if they maybe give it a bigger budget or work on the writing to try and make it work better. Because
I
there's two
wonder.
more, isn't there?
Yes, there is because they were both on Netflix. What I find interesting is neither of them have Wikipedia pages, so that's usually not a good sign.
Well,
Um,
they're newer too, aren't they? Because that first one came out in like 2016, 2017, something like that.
yeah, the other two were 2022, which leads me to believe they didn't get Vic back.
Most likely
Um,
not.
which, I mean, to be fair, his performance was kind of shit in this, so I don't know if that's that much of a loss, but
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I would have been fine with it if they had just gone with somebody else for Ed in the first place.
yeah,
I I do like bringing back the old Al voice because I just think it works in this medium. Like having the little kid voice coming out of even if he wasn't a suit of armor, like even if he was just himself at the age he was supposed to be, like that would have just been weird.
honest, honestly, this movie kind of makes me wish that Brotherhood they just like bit the bullet and just let him do the voice again, anyways.
Hmm.
Because I actually really like his performance as Alphonse in this movie.
Yeah.
I think it actually fits the character more than the nothing against the actress that did him in Brotherhood, but I kind of like the older sounding voice. It kind of fits.
I mean, what they could have done in that case was they could have gotten the actress that they had to replace him as like to do the little kid scenes, and then maybe even the armor stuff because I mean your soul isn't going through puberty.
Mm,
But like whenever we had us like for instance whenever we would see Al in the portal of truth, um like that could have been um Aaron Disnew, right?
yeah, Aaron Disney Muke.
That one's hard to say.
It's a very weird last name.
It's a
See,
hard name to say.
I'm so used to him because like he has like two fan bases. Like there's his early fan base from when he was very young, where he was like in a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah,
then
he was in Fruits Basket, wasn't he?
he was in both versions of Fruit Basket.
Mm.
He was in the original. He was Hirosoma, and then when he grew up, he couldn't be Hirosoma anymore, so he they recast him as Machi's brother, the Yuki's friend in the
Right.
council.
Yeah.
And he's most famous nowadays. He's Mayuki in Kaguya-sama.
Yeah. Callback.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean that's like his defining role, I think, at this point. Like, is
That's
that
what I
like,
know him from at this point.
yeah, it's just sarcastic approach to everything.
Mhm.
He was in Brotherhood because he played young Honenheim in the flashbacks,
Oh, now that you say it, I do hear it.
which was
I
at
get
least
back on it.
they kept him around to do the voice, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that though, I'm like looking at all the voice actors, they're all pretty much brand new for everyone else.
Yeah, they didn't carry very many people over. And I mean, like I said, they didn't really need to.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm amazed they got the three that they did.
yeah, I mean they were the biggest ones, I'd say. But yeah, overall, I mean, story wise, there's really not a whole lot to say. How did they find out um about the Philosopher's Stone stuff? Did Ed just kind of like do his own research on the circle and just kind of figure it out, or
It's not really explained. He kind of just looks at it for a few minutes and then that's it.
hmm, it's odd?
Uh,
Yeah.
they did act, they did show off Al's body in Truth right at the end.
Which was a little weird.
Yeah, that I wonder how much that actor got paid to sit there butt naked for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, right. Just this head down, just
Yeah.
like what the hell? They
Um,
they chose a weird angle too. I don't know how I feel
yeah,
about that.
I was like, I was like the placement of that foot is very convenient because if it was a little over, oh my.
Yeah, no kidding.
Um, I mean,
Yeah.
he was pretty spot on to Ed. I mean, Al in the anime, so I give them that, I guess.
I will say I did like the scene where Ed's telling Al that he saw his body in the portal, and Al asks him if he's taller than Ed is, and he's
Yeah,
like, "Yep, yep, actually, yep, you're taller." Which I don't know how he understood whether or not he was taller because he was sitting down, but
yeah. I love the scene where Ed and Winry are on the train, and then like Ed makes like the comment that he's like, "Yeah, kids really like me," and then Winry's like, "Well, yeah, because you're short just like them."
yeah, and that's like one of the only scenes we really get of Ed like kind of losing it about being called short.
Well, he gets called made fun of early on during their first like fight with the
The
with
priest guy,
with Father Coreno or whatever.
Cornello, I think.
Cornello. Actually, I think he was voiced by the same guy as well.
Hmm.
I believe that was Jameson Price in both of them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they make fun of him there because everyone's like confuses Al as the Full Metal Alchemist when it's actually Ed.
Some of the early CG with the alchemy was pretty good. It did get a little wonky later on, but that first fight looked really nice. I like that.
The opening of the movie is pretty good, other than the Al flying around on his magic carpet board. That was pretty bad, but
Yeah.
everything else up until the I'm trying to think of the part where it really starts to diverge. Um, everything in the beginning though is pretty spot on. Other than was Roy as much of an ass at the start of the anime as he was in this one? I don't remember.
Not in Brotherhood. He and Ed butt heads a lot in the original anime, so I think they're pulling from that, and a little bit in the manga too. But because in the original anime, Ed just straight up doesn't like Mustang throughout the whole series. Like he just fucking hates his guts. And he doesn't even find out about Hughes's death until like right before the end of the series, and that just like cements his hate for Mustang even more because he hid it from him.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really weird. So I think they're pulling on that a little bit. Um, which I didn't really like particularly. I mean, as I've said before, I watched Brotherhood first and then watched the other series. And I don't like the whole Ed not liking Mustang thing. I get that they have different ideas and goals, and they do butt heads here and there throughout the original manga and in Brotherhood, but for the most part, they legitimately respect each other and
Hmm.
care about each other. So
That's
it
why
was
I
just
was wondering because it felt really off.
yeah, for sure.
I
And
was gonna
that's
say too, the actress that they got to play Riza, she's pretty much spot on, but she does fucking nothing in this movie.
yeah, she's so like not even a part of it really. She's just kind of a background character,
She's like there for fan service. That's like about it.
which is weird because Full Metal was never really even one of those kinds
Yeah,
of shows.
yeah, honestly. The
But
most fan service he's seen in Full Metal Alchemist is like when Ree takes her top off in that one scene.
and that one was just played for laughs because she didn't know he was in the room.
Well, yeah, you don't see anything, and then you're immediately just like cut to Ed's goofy ass face in the corner there.
Yeah, the sandwich is like halfway up to his mouth. That's probably one of my favorite like comedy scenes in the whole series. Everyone's like freaking out and shit. He's just like, I just wanted a quiet place to eat my sandwich.
Yeah. Well, Ed doesn't have any like interest in like anything other than getting his arm back at that point. So
Yeah, he is classic shonen protagonist sex drive, which is like none.
yeah, honestly. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think any other standout things in this.
Um, Lust's fingers were weird.
Lust was kind of just weird in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I just the homunculi in general just didn't sit well with me. I didn't like the vibes I was getting from them. They just didn't. I mean, they were creepy, but not in the way I wanted them to be.
Like Envy legit doesn't do like anything in this movie.
I
Like
feel
he
like doesn't
he
even speak
he
really.
has like two lines, and like I was a little annoyed because they kind of ruined his whole androgynous kind of thing because they gave him a very man voice, and I was kind of like, and like that doesn't work as well as the anime version.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, Gluttony, I mean, was fine. Like he was basically what he was in the anime, but like now he's just like, can I eat it the entire time?
Yeah, he kind of has like they kind of just like get rid of like whatever comedic aspects of his character and just crank up the creepiness to 11.
He was just like the plot dumpster for this movie. Like, all right, we need to get rid of all this shit. Gluttony, eat it.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Yeah, Lust was the only one that really did anything, but she didn't feel like the Lust from the anime at all.
Yeah, she's definitely kind of like her own thing.
Well,
And it
because
was
she
weird.
actually she goes out of her. She does like she kills like so many characters in this.
Yeah, and it's weird too because like the only one of Mustang's men that they included, well, I say men, the only one of his subordinates they included was Hawkeye, which kind of like removes the whole big moment with Havoc,
Hmm.
which is kind of like a big driving force of like why Mustang was so adamant about killing her.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The lack of Armstrong definitely hit too.
yeah, was that's the thing is this kind of show needs those kind of like comedic, bombastic, more like even Hughes was like, yeah, he nailed the character for the most part, but he wasn't as like goofy and cheesy as he was in the anime, which I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, you don't want to do it too much because it is live action. You want it to be somewhat realistic, but you kind of lose some of the charm of the character and a lot of the scenes without that.
weirdly enough, the only character in this that was like goofy and kind of like over the top was Winry of all characters.
Yeah, which was
Like
interesting.
the scene where they're on the train and then she like fucking like almost jumps out of the window when she sees the hello Mr. Carr. When she almost jumps out the window when she sees where Dr. Marco's castle like hospital is, and she's like over like the top like expressive, like almost like eyes bulging out. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, out of all the characters to have like this over the top expression, they picked Winry of all of them.
I think that's just kind of a thing though with with Japanese like live action acting and stuff, because it's one of those things that I've noticed with a lot of live action Japanese movies and stuff that I've seen is they tend to kind of do that over the top thing, and I think they're trying to like emulate animation in that way, but it just doesn't work in real life.
It was just weird to me that out of all the characters, because like one of Full Metal's big things is like the weird like deranged animation changes every now and then, like
Mm-hmm.
where like Ed turns into that fucking abomination all the time, or
Yeah, they
like
just circle ahead with the one like cowlick.
there's that, or I was thinking of like when he turns into like that like barracuda looking thing at that one point.
Yeah, or when Al gets his like weird kitty face when whenever he needs to be expressive.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Or I was thinking of like the scene where like Winry and Hughes are like doing their weird like swaying like dance thing.
Oh yeah, with the little kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like stuff like that that kind of like makes it really hard to transition like a show like this into animation, into live action.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was the thing with Ed in this. Like he was very tame for the most part.
Yeah.
Like the only scene that really made me think Ed was like when he during that opening confrontation when he runs face first into the pillar.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, that's Ed. Um, but then like the rest of it, he's weirdly stoic the entire time.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you expect from him at all.
Like speaking about Winry being weirdly out of character, like when they're looking for Marco, like she's running around like a psycho, and he's just like, "What are you doing?"
Hmm. And also, it's kind of weird that wait, did she recognize him or
Yeah, she did, which is weird because it didn't make any sense.
she's never seen him before, except for like, what, do they have a picture of him or something, or a drawing or
they
something?
they had a photo, but she looks out. This is what I didn't get. This she looks out the train window and goes, "It's Marco," and then like she jumps off the train and starts running around like a psycho, and
Mm,
I'm like, what? I was so confused.
yeah. I don't know. Overall, I mean, I commend them for the effort they made, and yes, they got a lot of the characters where they needed to be for the most part, with obviously some changes that had to happen, and they tried to keep the story as straight as possible. Uh, but I think this just might be one of those animes that doesn't translate very well.
Yeah, not to a especially a lower budget film like this.
Yeah,
I mean, I think one of the reasons Kenshin works so well is because Kenshin is such a down to earth series.
yeah, and I don't know if it's. I mean, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think part of it is the fact that it's supposed to be like a very German setting, but
Yeah,
it's all Asian characters, and I feel like that is part of it as well.
yeah, a little like because the FMA has a very distinct look to it.
Mhm. It's a very Western looking series,
Yeah,
despite being anime.
it's kind of like how it's got the same look that a Spy Family has nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, it's weird because like I don't know, it just like it felt off the entire time.
Hmm.
Like even live action Death Note was at least like had like charm in its design. At least it kind of had a vision, even if that vision was not very good.
Yeah, for sure. I would honestly and I don't want to rag on it too much, but I definitely would rather watch the Netflix Death Note over this again.
What's weird is they came out the same year.
It did. That is weird.
Um,
And it's upsetting because I always thought that Full Metal would be one of the ones that would work, and maybe it would in somebody else's hands.
I mean,
But
maybe a Western attempt at it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, as long as they didn't try to Netflix it up too much, if that makes sense.
You don't want to see Edge standing in a room screaming as everything flies around him.
I mean, that was the most entertaining part of that movie, for being real.
That and the Ferris wheel scene. I still love the Ferris wheel scene.
Yeah, it's just so outrageous.
Then William Dafoe just being William Dafoe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think a Western take on it would be like if we were gonna give it one more try, I would definitely see where like how Hollywood could do it.
Mm.
But overall, I feel like this is one of those series that just works better as anime. And maybe even like because I know that they started doing a novelization of it. I'd like to check that out at some point because this is one of those stories that I've always said would work really well as novels.
Yeah, there is because the novels are, from what I've heard, pretty good. I just I don't have time to read them right now.
Yeah, I have too many other novels to read to read a rehashing of a story I already know.
I mean, I can barely keep up with my manga, like let alone a novel.
Yeah, manga is relatively quick to get through.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think anything else. Like, I guess the background music was fine. Like, it fit the mood pretty well.
Yeah, but you can't compete with that Brotherhood soundtrack. It's just
True.
too good. Like that Brotherhood soundtrack, I'll just throw that on and listen to it just on a random day. That music just slaps.
Also, the human transmutation scene. Did they destroy the house in the original? Was it that dramatic, or was this clearly played up for the live action?
Nah, it's definitely just played up because they
Okay.
burned the house down afterwards as
Right, that's true. That's
like a
true.
resolve thing, but the house was intact.
Okay, because I was like, I don't remember them destroying the house like it did in this movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Bless you. It's one of those things where it's somebody else's hands, whether it's in the East or the West. Uh, this could work. This could be a lot better. It's just something was lacking here. I don't know if it was just heart or if they just needed a better script or better actors. But I mean, I don't know. The actors were fine. Maybe if I watched it subbed, I'd feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, maybe because like I honestly the actors really didn't do a bad job. I think they all fit
Yeah.
fairly well. I mean, gripes aside with Winry not looking anything like Winry, the actress didn't do a bad job by any means.
Right. Agreed.
I don't know, yeah.
Should we go into ratings?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I'm gonna give this probably a 5 out of 10. Like it is so in the middle, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I was kind of hovering between 4 and 5. Yes, I hesitate to give it lower than a 5 because they did make a good effort to make it look decent and to try and be as accurate as possible to the source material. And I gotta give it, regardless of what the result is, I have to give credit for that because that's a big thing. But it was just boring. It was so fucking boring.
That's the big thing. Like one of the things that makes Full Metal Alchemist the iconic, like highly acclaimed series it is the fact that like it is well known for sucking you in after like 2 episodes.
It's a very edge of the seat kind of series. Like you're ready to watch more. Like every time you finish another episode, if you don't have time to watch more, you're visibly frustrated about it the first time you go through it.
Well, I had talked about in the past the phone test for me, which is like how I can tell if something's entertaining or not.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you grab your phone frequently throughout a movie, that's usually a sign you're not enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't lie, I was checking my phone constantly throughout this. I did another thing that's another sign of you probably not enjoying something is I click on the screen just to see the little the little bar that shows how far you are through the movie. I'm constantly clicking on that to see how much more of this do I got to watch.
I was doing that too, and there was so many points where I was like, "Oh my god, I still have over an hour left."
Yeah,
like Jesus. I hope the later movies are better because I'm sure we're gonna end up getting them at some point. I'd like to kind of like with a lot of these live actions that have multiple movies, multiple parts. I'd like to just stick to the first part of each one until we cycle back around, and then we'll start getting to some of the sequels. But
Yeah. Well, I figure like I think it'd be cool to rank the ones we've seen so far. Like now that we've got a couple, like obviously, like I'm gonna say Kenshin's the best so far.
yeah, Kenshin's definitely top tier.
Ironically, I'd say the Netflix Death Note is number 2, and then this is number 3.
Out of the ones that we've covered on the show so far,
Yes.
yes, I agree. I out of the ones I have seen overall, the order would definitely be a little different.
Well, yeah. But for the show as of now, those are the 3. I'm actually really curious for when we eventually get around to Evolution, where that's going to stack up in comparison, because Evolution is a fascinating movie for how much they fucked it up.
Yeah, but at the same time, it still has that kind of Netflix Death Note quality to it, where it is kind of entertaining to watch just because of how fucking stupid it is.
And it had a lot more of a budget than some of these movies did.
Yeah, it's weird. I think what was the budget for the Kenshin movie again?
I'd have to relook.
I think it was like 15 million, something
Yeah,
like that.
It wasn't a lot.
Let me just look something up real quick.
The first movie's budget was 10 million.
10 million?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Evolutions was 3 times that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Full Metal Alchemist's budget isn't even listed.
Really?
It only made basically all it got was its box office, which was 8 million. So it made less than it made less than the budget of Rurouni Kenshin.
That's pretty bad.
Now here's my other question. How much did the Netflix Death Note cost?
Probably more than all of them.
I'm curious on that. Let's see.
Because on top of like, you know, whatever visual effects that they had and stuff.
Yeah, that movie has a budget of 40 million.
I believe it. Because I mean, on top of like, because the cool thing about Death Note,
I'm sure most of it went to pay for William Dafoe.
Probably. But like the general like look of it, like yeah, there's like the aesthetics of like the sets and costuming and all the other stuff, but like the filming equipment and whatever programs and stuff they're using for it, like has a big effect on the way the movie ends up coming out. And the Netflix Death Note movie definitely had good equipment because it looked good. I feel like the Full Metal one did not.
No, it did. It looked passable. That was really about it.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes from here. I'd like to try and cover a better one next time, one that'll hold my attention a little bit more.
The problem is, I'm starting to realize none of these have been really good, other than Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the only ones that we know for a fact is good. We can't do until Alex is ready.
So. Well, until I watch it, basically.
Well, that too. But I mean, you could always just kind of watch the episodes here and there.
Yeah, it's mostly I got to find the time for it.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly worth it. It's very good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I had Cindy watch the first episode with us when it came out, and she like never really gave a shit about One Piece. And she, like, after watching that first episode, was like, yeah, this is our family show now. Like, she's like, when I told her that we weren't going to be getting the next season until at least next year, she was, like, really upset. She's like, God damn it. Why do you get me into these things so that I have to wait years for more?
Yeah.
But
other than that, I don't think we got much else to say. We somehow managed to go farther in this than we did in the Netflix Death Note, which is impressive to me.
Yeah. But I feel like this time, I mean, there was plenty to say, but most of it was just kind of meh.
Yeah, it literally mid is how you describe everything about this movie.
Is exactly like right down the middle. Like, yeah, the sets look good, the costumes look good, the overall acting of it was fine, but just maybe it was just the scripting or something, because it just something about it was just off the whole time.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, so I think that wraps it up for this one. Not really sure what we're going to be covering next week. We'll probably figure that out off screen, but yeah. Once again, though, guys, thanks for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts in its own feed now. On all your major podcasting platforms. We also have YouTube videos and occasional live actions. Hi, guys. And you can find all of our links at linktree/the Barbecue Games. And if you'd like, you can join the GNC Podcast Network Discord server to find all things GNC, the 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, Talk Gaming, Anime, or just general nonsense. And with that, everybody, we will see you all later.
Have a good one.